Hey everybody, and thanks for joining me back here at Slowpoke Race. I forgot who I was then. At Slowpoke Racing and the Ultimate Racing League. We are in Austria for our third race of round 5 in the BTCC Tribute or BTCC CCT Replica. Two fantastic races so far, which has seen Dan take 2 wins. So he's looking for the Triple Crown, if you want to call it anything else. But he's looking for his third win. Now, obviously, the likes of Grasshopper, Thomas, Wayne G, and company are all out to stop that plan of his. But we shall see how we get on. He is starting somewhere down in the middle of the pack. Now, this is a sort of reversed. I think it's the first 8 from race 2 are reversed, or something like that anyway. So what we'll do is we will have a look at where everybody is on the grid then. So Taff is on pole, Sai is just behind him in second, Chris is third, Hawkeye is fourth, Unforgiven is fifth on the grid, Brian McCarney sixth, Wayne G seventh, Dan, the winner of races 1 and 2, is in 8th. So a bit of a mountain to climb. Grasshopper is 9th, Phaser 10th, Rossi 11th, Carlsberg 12th, Thomas 13th and Hodgie 14th. And in the last race, Thomas, Hodgie and Grasshopper all started on intermediates because the track was mildly moist and they were kind of hoping the rain would turn up, but it didn't. And with the sunshine in the background there, as it's starting to set, I don't think we're going to get any of the wet stuff this time around either. So we'll see. Let's crack on, shall we, and see what's happening as the lights are all lit and out they go and away we go. Sai gets a very slow start off the line, then Hawkeye absolutely pounces and moves up. He's actually moved in front of Taff as well to take the lead of this race. Brian McCartney having a look at the inside. Whoa, everybody having a look at the inside then. But it is Hawkeye who comes out on top with Taff in second, Brian McCartney third, then Dan already up to 4th, so he is absolutely on a mission. He's on the inside of Brian as they go around turn 2, and it is Dan looking towards Brian McCartney, gets all squirrely and he's gone. Brian McCartney is gone. Let's see if we can, where is it? We'll see what happened there. Oh, I pressed the wrong button, haven't I? There we go, let's have a look. It was all hustle and tussle and fisticuffs and elbows out there with everybody at turn 1, and then Dan starts to make a move up the inside as they come into turn 2. I think that caught Brian out a little bit, had to adjust his line, and as he goes into turn 3, well, the back end's gone and off he goes. Sai follows him onto that gravel and poor Brian all the way down in 14th. Sai, he's down there with him as well. Sai came off, it wasn't his fault. He seems to have waited for Brian, but it wasn't his fault. So absolute chaos at the beginning of this race. Now then, is it a safety car? They look like they're going slow enough. It should be a safety car. There's 2 cars off. Yeah, it is definitely a safety car. So Hawkeye just getting them all backed up. There should be a car length in between all of them, but what the hell, eh? So they're on the straight, they're all caught up, so it will be up to Hawkeye, and I think he shouted go, or as he know, we are still only doing it. Yeah, there we go. I think we are back up and racing as we go into turn 1. So it is Hawkeye leading from Taff. Taff in the VW GTI. I am saying nothing this race, Taff. I will stay out of your hair and not put the curse on you. Dan in third already, and already looking to make a move on Taff and move up into second place. So Dan is definitely on a mission, isn't he? He wants his third win. And the way he's going, he looks pretty favourite to get it. So yeah, bag of jelly beans on Dan for the win this time around. As well, not quite sure what happened to Hawkeye there, but he went very wide. Dan goes through and takes the lead of this race. He's fighting with Taff though. Taff into second as they come down towards the final turn and across the line to start lap 3. Let's have a look who else is in there. Hawkeye is now third. Grasshopper has made his way up into 4th. Let's have a look at the tyres, shall we? Dan on softs, Taff on mediums, Hawkeye on the softs. I think quite a few of them should be on the softs as we get almost 3 wide into turn 1 then. Thomas on softs. They've all decided to go with the right tyres this time. Wayne G in 6th at the minute, chasing Grasshopper and Thomas. And all very bunched up. It's got to be elbows out, hasn't it, to try and get track position here. As see Phaser in 6th, Chris is 7th, Unforgiven is 8th. Bit of a gap then back to Carlsberg, who's picked up half a second penalty. Brian Mulcarney in 10th, then Rossi in 11th, Hodgie, Sai, and then Hawkeye Wade all the way down in 14th now, which is a bit of a shame. I would like to have seen him stay up there in amongst the leaders for a few more laps, but Dan, well, we've got an AMG at the front and an AMG at the back, haven't we? So Dan leading the way. Well, look at the gap, he's already opened up. There's no stopping him. This is obviously one of his favourite tracks, although he could get a penalty there. That was quite a wide line into turn 1. Let's just stick with him to see whether he does pick up a penalty. Yeah, I thought he would, although it's not really going to affect his track position. We are only 3.5 minutes into this race and he has already opened up quite a gap. It is Wayne G who has moved up into P2, but he's carrying a penalty. Grasshopper just sat behind him. He'll just follow Wayne G through to the penalty zone. Or will he? Yeah. No, Wayne G's got to serve it next time out. So Wayne G has got the opportunity to try and open a gap back to Grasshopper, but I think that's going to be a big ask. Grasshopper has got a flame right up his jacksie today, hasn't he? He's on a mission as well. Maybe wants to get on after Dan and have another battle with him, but at the minute he's tucked up behind Wayne G, who will be serving that penalty. Thomas as well in the other focus also got a penalty, so Grasshopper not really in any danger. As Thomas gets very squirrely out of turn 1 as well. So Thomas in 4th, but carrying that penalty, and both him and Wayne G will have to serve them as they come around. I think it's just as they exit turn 4. It would have been turn 8, wouldn't it? But into turn 4, that Thomas and Wayne G will serve their penalties, and there we go. Grasshopper moves through now and into P2. Wayne G brakes on and back on the power again and takes up P3 with Thomas just behind him in P4. Now remember, they do have the option of pressing that nitrous button. Best to use it on a straight, and if you can use it when you're in the slipstream as well, then you'll get an even bigger boost of power. We do know that Thomas likes to hold on to a bit of nitrous for the end of the race. And Wayne G is the one holding on to it at the minute though. Unforgiven, he's made his way up into 5th. After all the tussle and to-ing and fro-ing, got Unforgiven in 5th, Chris in 6th, Phaser in 7th. Then we've got Hodgie in 8th. Seems a bit underpowered or overweight does the Renault, because both Hodgie and Rossi are in the Renault. Just seem to be struggling, and it's just not like them. Really, you know, Hodgie's very competitive. Rossi is also very competitive and very quick. And there's obviously a problem with that car. It's either the underpowering or too much weight. I said it before, I think Hodgie's got too many stickers on the car, and that's what's weighing him down. But he's coming under attack from Brian Mulcarney in that Crown Athlete side by side now as they cross the start finish line. It is a drag race down towards turn 1. Brian Mulcarney with the advantage and his nose in front as they turn in. Brian Mulcarney on the inside, Hodgie trying to get the old switcheroo, but can't quite get the power out of the turn. Has to settle for 9th. He's got the other Renault now of Rossi chasing him down as they go into turn 2 then for the 7th time, and we are only 6 minutes into this race. Sai in 11th in the Civic with Hawkeye in 12th. He's moved up a place as Carlsberg drops to 13th. Dan picking up penalties, but again, it won't affect his track position, although I think Grasshopper is getting closer to him actually. That gap was bigger between Dan and Grasshopper, and if Dan keeps picking up these penalties, then Grasshopper is going to definitely get a lot closer and maybe even start putting a challenge in. Thomas in 3rd, let's have a look. Wayne G, should we go on board with Wayne G? As we chase Thomas down, so it's up the hill now. This is the bit where they have to remember to turn right and not carry straight on up the hill towards what would be turn 2 on the big track. But around they go, around turn 3, and then into turn 4 now. Quickly up behind us, Unforgiven. Is he getting closer in that Alfa Romeo? Wayne G making that corner as wide as he can. He chases Thomas down the hill into the final turn at turn 6. And then across the line to begin lap 9 into the slipstream. Maybe a kick of the old boot, the old nitrous. No, Wayne G not interested in one little bit. He's quite happy to just sit behind Thomas for now. So we'll get out and leave him to it. Let's have a look, see what's happening with Chris in the Crown Athlete, the same as Brian Moncani. So these two cars chasing each other then. Chris at the minute sitting in P6 on soft tyres and looking to try and catch up to the back of Unforgiven. Brian Moncani in 7th, although he's coming a little bit of pressure there from Fraser, and Brian Moncani has got damage on the rear now. He picked up some damage on the arse end of his car in race 2, but kept going. He decided not to pit. Obviously with the damage not being on heavy, you have to come into the pits to get it repaired, but Brian Moncani, it doesn't bother him, he just cracks on with it. You can see the damage, can't you, on the left corner of that bumper as we look at it. So Brian Moncani with damage, holding Fraser up. Well, he's not Fraser, he's not quite close enough. In fact, I think Brian Moncani is actually pulling away from Fraser and he's catching up to Chris. So Brian Moncani could well be putting a challenge in, although he didn't really need to now because Chris has picked up half a second penalty. That must be for turn 1. So we'll just follow Brian and Chris through these couple of turns and see if Brian Moncani can actually make the move on Chris. Chris will serve that penalty on the next lap, so Brian Moncani will be looking to get past before we get to that point. Obviously he doesn't need to, because if he can stay close enough to Chris, then he can nick the place off him. Then Chris serves the penalty, but I'm sure Brian would like to get the job done before we get to the penalty zone, and then he can actually pull away a little bit further. So Brian Moncani using a bit of the nitrous there, and using a good old glug a bit as well to catch up to the back of Chris. We've got Fraser in 8th. He's picked up a 1 second penalty. Still plenty of nitrous, but well, he's going to need it, isn't he, if he keeps picking penalties up like that. So he's going to serve that 1 second. Now then, is Rossi close enough to actually remove P8 from Fraser when he serves that penalty? Let's jump on board with Rossi. You know what, I don't think he is. We can see Fraser up ahead, but I think Fraser's going to hold on to that P8 even after serving his penalty. Obviously Rossi's going to go a little bit closer, but not close enough to just breeze on past, and he's going to have to work for it. If Rossi wants P8 away from Fraser, then Rossi definitely going to have to work for it, but I think there is issues with this Renault. As I say, it's either weight or power, but it just doesn't seem to be able to compete with the cars around it the minute. So maybe the mechanics and the technical people need to have a look at that and try and do something about it. But at the minute, Wilson sitting pretty at the minute in 9th. We've got Hawkeye in 10th. He's slowly making his way back through the grid, having dropped right down to 14th at one point after coming off on lap 1. We've got Hodgie in 11th, coming under a lot of close attention from side. Again, Hodgie in the Renault, underpowered or overweight or even both. And I think, to be fair, the Civic has got the same kind of problems. It just doesn't seem to be able to compete with the BMWs and the athletes and the little AMG. These cars don't seem to be able to keep up. So maybe the technical directors need to have a look at those cars. But side down in 12th, and then Carlsberg and the BMW, which is definitely quick enough, down in 13th. So back up at the top, and well, Dan has been caught. Now it looked like he'd got this race pretty much sewn up. He was so far ahead, but Grasshopper absolutely storming away and has caught right up to the back of Dan, and he's now actually putting a challenge in. So fantastic racing from Grasshopper. We've got a yellow flag up ahead, so that can only be for one of the guys at the back. I'm not quite sure what's happened. I'm just going to keep an eye on Dan and Grasshopper. These two have been fighting out all night, or all day should I say, in both races 1 and 2. They have had some fantastic battles. They're still going for it. Dan just stretching that lead just a little bit now. All the hard work that Grasshopper did, he's got to do it again. He must have made a slight error because it's allowed Dan Dan just to creep away. Dan Dan going to get purple through most of these sectors, so we'll just follow him down the hill towards the final turn and across the line. Let's just see if he can take that fastest lap from Brian Moncani. And he can. He's got a 50.8, so Dan Dan with the fastest lap. Grasshopper just behind him. His last lap was a 52, so nearly 2 seconds off the pace for Grasshopper. So yeah, whatever he did in the earlier laps, he needs to do again. Wayne G in third. Well, he was in third. He's picked up half a second at turn 1. That seems to be wherever he's picking them up. And Thomas has slipped up the inside and taken P3 away from Wayne G. Thomas back quarter of a tank of nitrous. Wayne G just over quarter of a tank. So Wayne G preserving his nitrous maybe for the latter part of this race. So he just needs to stick with Thomas. In fact, he could do with getting by him actually, because when he serves that penalty, he will drop him away from Thomas just a little bit more as the two focus. Pretty evenly matched then, obviously. It just comes down to the weight of the driver, and as I don't know either of them, I cannot speculate who's the heaviest. But at the minute, Thomas has got the advantage as he holds on to P3 with Wayne G with a half a second penalty, which he will be serving very shortly. Unforgiven sitting in 5th. I don't think he's going to be able to take P4 away from Wayne. I don't think he's close enough. He's got his hands full at the minute with Brian Moncani, who's putting the pressure on. Just see Wayne G serving his penalty. There we go, and he's back on the power again. Now then, Unforgiven. No, Unforgiven's not close enough. But as I say, he's got his hands full with Brian Moncani. We can see it's starting to start to get to the light fading, and it's getting darker out there. We have about 5.5 minutes of this final race to go. Chris in 7th, bit of a lonely race for him at the minute. He can see Brian Unforgiven up ahead, but he's a long way off putting him under any kind of pressure at the minute. But he's got quite a big gap back to Fazer, who is in 8th, and these guys at the back certainly spread out. Fazer all on his lonesome as well. Hawkeye, same with him. Then we've got Hodgie in 10th. Si not too far away in Si and Rossi. So these three could have quite a fight on their hands in the last few laps. Let's have a look what Hodgie's got left in the old nitrous tank. Well, nothing, he's used most of it up. So Hodgie could come under attack from Si. Si, he's got a little bit of nitrous left, and if he decides to use it, if you get in the slipstream of Hodgie and use it as well, then it could be an easy overtake for him. But Si definitely closing in on Hodgie, and then Rossi just under quarter of a tank of nitrous. So he really needs to start whacking that button now and using some of it up to catch up to the back of Si. Let's have a look. He's going to start using it now. Oh, he's got a half a second as well. Penalties just being dished out so easily at this track, as they always do. Carlsberg with a penalty as well. Quite a familiar sight, isn't it? Well, look at the battle just going on behind. But where is it? Where is it? Where's that battle gone? I think it might have been Wayne G and Thomas. I'm not sure. Brian Moncani in 5th. Let's have a look. Maybe he's been Unforgiven or Brian Moncani. Unforgiven is definitely turning the screws on Brian Moncani as they come around the final corner and across the start-finish line to start lap 19. We have 3.5 minutes of this race to go as Carlsberg pulls over to let the faster guys through. Chris in 7th, Fazer in 8th, Hawkeye 9th. Then we've got Hodgie, Si, Rossi just, well, I don't know what's happened to Rossi, but he's definitely fallen off the pace, hasn't he? He's obviously had an issue at something. Well, definitely he's had a big issue, hasn't he? Has he come into the pit? Oh, he's got damage at the back as well, so Rossi definitely had some sort of issue and has picked up some damage. He'll probably stay out to the end of the race now. It's not worth coming in now. Back up to the top, and this is where the big fight seems to be taking place. It is Dan Dan just holding on to the lead. He's looking for win number 3 today. Grasshopper desperately trying to spoil that for him and take a win out of this. He's already been on the podium today as Grasshopper. He managed second just behind Dan in race 1, but he'll be looking to improve on that obviously and get himself up on the top step and really putting the pressure on. Now then, let's have a look. Grasshopper, no nitrous left. Oh, Dan, he's got over a quarter of a tank, so again, he really needs to start thumping that button and opening up a gap now back to Grasshopper. He's holding him off. We have about 2 minutes to go, so he's got nothing to lose. You may as well use it. Go on, Dan. Give it some. And that's exactly what he's done as Grasshopper started to mount an attack. And Dan just saw that off with a thump of the old nitrous button, and he's managed to stay in front. And Grasshopper, I can imagine what he's saying. He's just getting very frustrated as Dan just quarter of a tank of it, and you're probably only going to get what, maybe, well, one more lap definitely. And Dan's still got lots of nitrous to use, so we'll just go down the order then. Thomas in third, Wayne G in fourth. That probably is where that one's going to sit now, I think, because Thomas has got a bit more nitro than Wayne G. So even if Wayne G catches up, then Thomas is just going to use the nitrous and pull away. Brian Mulcahy in fifth. Decent gap then back to Unforgiven. He's got Chris chasing him down. Phaser is in eighth. We are into the last minute of this race. There's Phaser having a bit of a lonely run. Ooh, that could be a penalty there as he comes around turn 5. Yeah, crossing that line. Really went very deep into turn 5. Then we've got Hawkeye in 9th with Hodgie in 10th. Another penalty. It wouldn't seem right now, would it, without at least 2 cars getting red boxes above their above the top of them. So back up to the top, and it is Dan fighting off Grasshopper as they come around the final turn. Then they will get one more lap, and Dan, I'm sure, is just going to whack that nitrous button now and pull away from Grasshopper again. Grasshopper can try and stay in the slipstream, but he's definitely not going to make the move on him on the straight. Good use of the nitrous from Dan. Nothing Grasshopper can do about it. He's got no answer. He's got no nitrous left. He just has to try and stay with Dan, trying to force an error out of him. Oh, and some people have finished, so let's just go back and have a look at this. As Unforgiven and Chris have a fight. Look at this into turn 5, into turn 6, and he's Unforgiven just keeping his nose in front of Chris. And Unforgiven then will cross the line. It looks like Brian Mulcahy actually has finished first. No, he's not. Unforgiven has finished first in 6th. Chris in 7th. What a fantastic race them two have had. Phaser will cross the line in 8th. Hawkeye will be next to take the checkered flag in 9th. Then we've got Cy and Hodgie. Cy just ahead. No, Hodgie just ahead of Cy. So Hodgie finishes 10th. Cy in 11th. Rossi will finish in 12th. Colesberg have already finished a lap down in 13th. Back up to the top as they come around the final turn. And Dan looking at win number 3 of the day. Fantastic result for Dan. Grasshopper can only manage a second with Thomas coming in 3rd, Wayne G 4th, and Brian Mulcahy will take 5th as the rest of the guys cross the line then. Fantastic stuff from the Ultimate Racing League and the BTCC tribute guys. Brilliant racing as Brian Mulcahy crawls himself across the line. Well, he might finish, I don't know. Oh, a bit of showboating for the crowd, and hey, why not? He's not going to go overtaking, is he? So come on, Brian, let's get across the line, shall we? There we go. So Brian finishes. Well, brilliant stuff from these guys. I hope to catch you. Well, no, I won't catch you next week. I'm away for 2 weeks, so somebody else will be covering these. It will be. It could be Ruthless Rufus, or it could be Paul E72. So go out, go and check their YouTubes out. Get subscribed, and if they do cover these races, then obviously they'll pop up and you'll be notified. So I will be back in a couple of weeks' time. Until then, stay safe, and I shall.